Mark Yadon. We're here at Mischler's Florist and Greenhouse today to talk a little bit about succulents. Here at Mischler's we have a wide variety that we grow ourselves here, and we like to make mixed containers. Today I'm going to demonstrate a little bit about how to make a container of succulents. You have to choose a container whether it has no drainage or whether it has drainage. Drainage will make it a little easier to water. The no drainage, you'll have to monitor it a little closer. Okay, so my selection for this blue pot are tones of blues. The thing about succulents is they're very forgiving. They're easy to plant and they're very durable. One of the things that we want to do is add a little bit of soil, and I use a cactus mix. A cactus mix is a well-drained soil that generally has sand incorporated in it. It will keep the plants well-drained and dry. Well-drained is the key here. So what I'll do is I'll add a little bit of soil, and you don't need a lot to start, to the bottom of my container. The plants themselves will take quite a bit of room in the pot, so we won't need to add a lot of soil to start. The thing that I'll start with is with my Corsican stone crop is this is my trailing one, so I'm going to have that as the lowest plant in the pot. Now, one of the tricks to get these out of the pot, you can take a knife, you can go right around the edge of the pot, and it should just pop right out. You may have to remove a little bit of soil at the bottom of each of the pots to make them shallow enough for your container. Don't worry about that. Breaking up the roots a little bit is good, but you'll want to make sure that they're not sticking up too high either. So I'll start with that one. I'll move on to the pink Vigae, or the Lampranthus. A little bit of soil. Again, like I say, succulents are very forgiving, so losing a few roots is not going to really matter too much. And I just put those in right next to each other. A little bit different texture is the burrowtail. This one's going to come right out of the pot nicely. I'm just working the soil a little bit around the base of the plants, and then I'll add some more soil right when I get all the plants in there. The blue chalk, I think, will go right towards the center of the pot. It is the tallest thing. And then I do have the fret ives that I'll put in here as well. Add a little contrast with that darker purple in with the hues of blue. Now I place my plants in the pot. Now I'll fill in with a little bit of soil. And all you need to do is fill the gaps to the top of the pot. You can press in a little bit, but you don't necessarily want to compact the soil in the pot. Now, for the finishing touches on a succulent container, I like to cover the soil. For this particular container and pot, I'm going to use white rock. And all you need to do is take a little bit of white stone and cover the soil. Putting the stone in, it's not important that that's below the level of the pot, because water will drain right through there. The rock is solely decorative. It's not functional at all. It's just to make the container look better. Once you plant the pot up, then it's important to give it a good watering. You don't want to water too much. They're succulents. But make sure everything is moist. I direct my water to each particular plant when I'm watering. And that should be good. Well, if you see the water at the top of the pot, then you have too much. In a container this size, I would think that maybe a cup of water is probably just about right. The maintenance of this type of pot, it depends on how sunny of a location you put it in and what the conditions are in your house. The sunnier the better for succulents. Real nice bright window is good. Sunrooms are great. In that case, if it's in a south-facing window, you may have to water it once a week. In cases where it's not getting quite the light, then maybe every other week. But the way to check that is just to make a little hole and stick your finger in the bottom and make sure that that soil is moist. Also, you can check to see if there's any standing water in the bottom of your pot at the same time, which is what the thing that you do not want to have. If it has drainage, it's easier. You can see it as the water comes draining out, you know you've had enough water. This is, again, a little bit more difficult to maintain because you do have to check the water by feeling the soil. So now I'll plant up another container. This is a little different style, square instead of round, but it also has drainage rather than a solid bottom like this one. One of the things that we can do, I do have a saucer, which I do recommend if it's an indoor plant, so that any water will drain out of that hole into the saucer rather than on your beautiful coffee table. With the hole on the bottom, because it's such a large hole, I'm going to put a little shard of pottery right in the bottom of it. This will not plug the hole, but it'll keep the soil from falling out. I'll also add a little bit of soil to the bottom. I'm thinking probably about a third of the way full with soil before we start planting. And I will start to put in my plants. Again, this is the sedum. This is called fine gold leaf sedum. And this is a spreading type plant, so this one will act as a ground cover. So I'll put that one in first. I'll then use my Raspalis, or the drunkard's dream. This will have a little bit of yellow flower to it when it blooms. It always blooms right around now, January, early February. It's a very interesting one, very popular. So I'll put that in next. The copper tone is an upright plant. This is a type of sedum as well that has a completely different growth habit as the fine gold leaf. I have a couple of larger plants. This is an aloe vera, very popular plant. I'll put that one towards the center of the pot. And then the euphorbia fire sticks, which is really pretty wild looking, but it's very interesting. And again, I'll put that in there towards the back of the container. All right, once your plants are placed in the container itself, then what I'll do is add a little bit more soil. You can gently press them in, but you don't want to compact too much. And then for this container again, I like to put a type of ground cover on it to cover the soil. Because this is a red container, more southwest looking, what I'm going to use on this one is some red lava rock. Then once the container is planted up, again, you want to water it in. I direct the water to each specific plant. This one will tell you when you have enough because water will come out the bottom of the pot. I figure about a cup and a half of water for a container this size. As soon as this starts draining out the bottom, you know you've had enough. Many times you can add things to your succulent containers as well to add interest. For example, I have a small piece of wood here. Driftwood works great to just add a little bit of an accent to that. You can put that up for height. You can remove it if you want. But other things are also interesting. Different types of rocks work well, different types of sticks, just to make it a little bit more interesting. So there are two containers now out of succulents that are completely different. Blues with the hues here, a little more hot colors here. They're both going to grow in. They're both going to do well. Maintenance of a succulent garden is really very easy. The size that you want it depends on how much you water it and how big a pot you put it in. These will grow, and they will grow large. As you can see, this particular pink Weige here came from a plant like this 2 years ago. Okay? So they'll grow large. But to get them to be that large, you need to have a nice sunny location as well as plenty of room for the roots to grow. If you want to stay small in your little container like this, less water is always a good thing, and you know, still keep it in well lit area. Another thing that you have to understand also is that these plants can be trimmed, and if they start getting too large, you can always cut a few little branches off of it, and they're no worse for wear. If you really want to do it, you can take the little pieces and actually stick them right into the ground. Succulents root very easily, and many of those will start to form roots, and you'll have more plants. Many of these plants that I've used today are very easily propagated. Also, if you lose a leaf, don't throw it out. Just put it right on the top of your container, and within a month you'll see little roots growing out of that leaf and maybe a new little shoot. That will create a whole new plant as well. All right, so we've introduced you to a few succulents. I've taken 10 of the 75 varieties that we grow here and introduced you to those. We've also made a couple of real nice little gardens here that are completely unique and different as far as the looks go. So you can do a lot with succulents. They're a fun plant to grow. They're easy to propagate, and they're very cool right now.